Now at 5, the Koam Nation's asserting criminal jurisdiction over non-Indians on its land. Plus, 2 people are wounded in a shooting at a Kansas high school. And how the Biden administration is cracking down on Russian oligarchs.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Koam Nation's now prosecuting certain crimes against its citizens in tribal court. This is KOAM News at 5. Comes as the existence of the Koam Reservation was upheld by the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals last October. This change now allows the nation to assert criminal jurisdiction over non-Indians. Previously, if a non-Indian committed a domestic violence crime on tribal land, it was handled by federal court instead of the tribal courts.
Sometimes those crimes would fall through cracks and not get prosecuted. So this will eliminate that and allow the tribe to actually exercise their inherent authority to enforce those laws.
Tonight at 6, we're going to hear more on what this change means for the Koam Nation and for non-Indians accused of crimes on tribal lands. Police say a suspect was shot and taken into custody after a shooting an administrator and a school resource officer at a high school in Olathe, Kansas. The officer and administrator are in stable condition. There's no word on the shooter's condition except that person is expected to survive. Police say they believe the shooter is a student at the high school. Say it appears the administrator encountered the student in the school's office area where the shooting took place and the officer stopped the shooter. Getting cloudy out there. Checking in with Doug Heddy.
It is, Dow, but still temperatures for us today. Another great day. We've had 70s all week long, which is really kind of hard to beat for the first week of March. But yeah, we have a lot of clouds out there. We even have a few showers in the upper levels. It's evaporating before it hits the surface. But here's the beginnings of our next storm system. You can see the first wave kind of pulling out, a second wave back toward the south and to the west. But temperature is great. We're still into the upper 60s to near 70 degrees. Has been a little bit on the breezy side. We got these south winds at about 15 to 25, and then at times we've been getting gusts a little bit higher than that, 25 upwards to 30, upwards to 35 miles per hour. Through the evening hours, we'll drop back through the 60s, and we only bottom out right around 59, 60 degrees for us tonight. Thunderstorms for the weekend. We're going to look at that here in just a bit.
See you then. Russian forces are closing in on several major Ukrainian cities, including the capital of Kiev, with a large Russian military convoy now about 15 miles away. The UN Security Council held an emergency meeting today after Russia took control of Europe's largest nuclear power plant. Heavy shelling sparked a brief fire, but there are no reports of radiation escaping. President Biden spoke to the leaders of countries neighboring Ukraine, including Poland and Finland. The Biden administration is tightening the economic screws on Russian President Vladimir Putin and his billionaire allies with a new round of sanctions. Authorities in Europe have already seized at least 2 super yachts owned by Russian oligarchs. President Biden now faces pressure to target Russia's oil industry. Ed O'Keefe reports from the White House.
The only way this ends, my friend, is for somebody in Russia to take this guy out.
South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham not mincing words Thursday night, speaking out about what he thinks it's going to take to stop Russian President Vladimir Putin. Meantime, some of Russia's wealthiest oligarchs and their families are being cut off from U.S. banking and their assets. Among those on the target list, Vladimir Putin's press secretary, Dmitry Peskov, Alisha Usmanov, one of Russia's richest men, who owns one of the country's largest private jets, and Sergei Chemezov, a friend of Putin's from their KGB days. More than a dozen other oligarchs and their families also face visa restrictions.
Our interest is in maintaining the strongest unified economic impact campaign on Putin in all history.
The crisis in Ukraine is causing a spike in gas prices around the world. It's up an average of 22 cents across the nation since just Monday. Still, the White House is under increasing and notably bipartisan pressure to ban imports of Russian oil.
I'm all for that. Ban it.
Ban the oil.
Ban the oil come from Russia. Yep.
Nancy Pelosi is with us, which made me wonder, what am I doing? She's right.
The White House says not so fast, noting just 3% of the nation's oil imports come from Russia.
We don't have a strategic interest in reducing the global supply of energy.
The Biden administration is also addressing the growing refugee crisis, announcing some 75,000 Ukrainians in the U.S. as of Tuesday can now stay an additional 18 months. The Biden administration's diplomatic attempts to end the crisis continue today, with both the Secretary of State and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff in Europe meeting with allies, and Finland's president is here at the White House today. That's notable because a historically neutral country now is considering joining NATO. Ed O'Keefe, CBS News, the White House.
A federal appeals court gave a narrow victory to the Biden administration on the use of Trump-era border policy. It ruled the U.S. can continue to swiftly remove migrant families under an emergency pandemic rule for now, but only to places where they will not be persecuted or tortured. The Biden administration has been relying on a public health authority called Title 42 that allows authorities to turn back thousands of migrants arrested at the U.S.-Mexico border. United Nations countries have agreed to create a legally binding global treaty to address plastic pollution in the world's oceans, rivers, and landscape. The UN Environmental Assembly voted unanimously for a resolution to end plastic pollution. It sets the stage for international negotiations designed to produce a treaty by 2024. The treaty would cover the full life cycle of plastics, including production, design, and disposal. A junior high science teacher in McDonald County, Missouri, uses the great outdoors as his classroom. And now the Conservation Federation of Missouri has named him the Missouri Conservation Educator of the Year. White Rock Elementary teacher Keith Jones takes students out into nature to teach lessons on science, math, and engineering, along with research and writing skills. Jones calls the program SOAP, combining the words success and hope.
You know, we've done some things where they worked with a lady that was all about wild food and showing kids about certain plants, wild plants that are growing around that are edible, and how to use them in cooking. And it's just a completely different thing than sitting in a classroom.
Today, students pulled winter creepers from trees. In the program, they've canoed rivers, hiked through the forest, and visited conservation sites. Still ahead, encouraging jobs news.
The latest jobs report shows the U.S. has regained 90% of the jobs lost during the pandemic. I'm Michael George with how the invasion of Ukraine could impact the economy.
And next in Healthwatch, how just one drink a day can have an impact on your brain. Topping today's Healthwatch, how drinking affects thinking. Previous research shows heavy drinking is not good for the brain. Well, now a new large study shows even just one drink a day may have an impact. Reporter Bradley Blackburn has more on the findings.
Many people enjoy the occasional glass of wine with dinner or a drink to wind down at the end of the day.
Red wine and chocolate is a good combination.
I usually have probably one drink later on in the evening.
Research has long shown that those who drink heavily have changes in the structure and size of the brain that are associated with cognitive impairments. But now a new study finds even just a few beers or glasses of wine a week may also be risky.
Were you surprised by what you found?
I was. I was surprised at just how little alcohol seems to be necessary to reduce brain volume.
Dr. Henry Kranzler and researchers from the University of Pennsylvania looked at data on more than 36,000 adults and found light to moderate drinking was associated with reductions in overall brain volume.
What happens in cases where people drink far more than one drink a day?
The reductions are proportional. So the more you drink, the smaller the volume.
For example, in 50-year-olds, increasing drinking from about half a beer a day to a pint of beer led to changes in the brain equivalent to aging 2 years. Dr. Kranzler says the study's findings are in contrast to current guidelines on safe drinking limits, which say no more than 1 drink per day for women, no more than 2 drinks per day for men.
It's reasonable to have a small amount of alcohol, but I would discourage people from drinking more than 1 or 2 drinks on any occasion, and no more than probably 7 drinks on average in a week.
Dr. Kranzler says about a third of the adult population drinks more than recommended, so cutting back could have real benefits. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
CDC data shows 2 in 3 adult drinkers report drinking above moderate levels at least once a month. Now, a benefit of alcohol: a glass of wine with dinner can lower the risk of type 2 diabetes. Those findings are being presented at this week's American Heart Association conference. Doctors caution drinking alcohol, especially in excess, can present other health risks, if you've heard. But they found people who had one drink during a meal had a 14% lower chance of developing diabetes. The benefits were greater for those drinking wine compared to other types of alcohol. Diet may be to blame for dangerously high blood pressure during pregnancy among some women. A study by the University of Southern California's Keck School of Medicine looked for causes of high blood pressure during the third trimester among lower-income Hispanic and Latino women. Researchers found eating more fats and cheese increased risks, and eating more fruits and veggies, they lowered them. If you're having trouble sleeping, resistance exercise may be the answer. A study by Iowa State University found people who started regular resistance training got 40 more minutes of sleep per night on average. That's twice as much benefit as people who did aerobic exercise. Not getting enough sleep is linked to several health issues, including increased risk of stroke and heart disease. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, a nonprofit drug maker may be bringing a lower cost insulin to the U.S.
Plus, we have thunderstorm chances increasing for the weekend. We're going to check that out coming up. Well, we had another great day for us today. A lot of clouds across the region, but temperatures fantastic as we went right around 70 into lower 70s once again. We've stayed dry, even though we've had the clouds. Here's a live shot of Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri, but it looks pretty good. It's Friday evening. Parking lots filling up heading into the weekend, so any Friday is a pretty good Friday. Temperatures right now, most of us are sitting upper 60s to near 70 once you get into our southwestern counties, but temperatures really aren't going to drop off tonight. Our southerly winds really keeping our temps up. We've had those south winds at about 10 to 20, but at times we've been getting gusts 25, 30, 35 miles per hour. So it has been windy, and this is all due to our next storm system, which is rolling in. You can see the clouds outside. No threat of any showers or thunderstorms for us this evening. 68, south winds at 10. Humidity is sitting at about 42%. Through the evening hours, a slow drop through the 60s, and we're only really going to bottom out at about 59 or 60 degrees, so pretty good night on tap for us. All right, you can see a few little showers popping up on the radar. The lower levels of the atmosphere are very dry, so these aren't hitting the ground. We're going to stay dry tonight, but we're going to continue to have a lot of clouds. Here's our first little wave, which is rotating out, and this is going to give us chances for showers and thunderstorms. We have this first little wave. Here's our second wave, the main wave that rolls in tomorrow, and then a third wave, which is back across the northern parts of California. All three of them will affect us over the next few days. All right, tonight, we may see the clouds break up a little bit, and then they thicken back up by morning. Here's 5:30 in the morning. Let's go through the morning hours. By 9 o'clock in the morning, we'll start to see a few random little showers trying to pop up. And then around the noon hour, we're going to get some scattered showers, maybe a few scattered thunderstorms. Nothing strong, nothing severe. These rotate through. Some comes back out by the afternoon. And again, tomorrow, in general, looks pretty good. 71. It's going to be windy, south winds, 15 to 25. Here's tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. Here's our cold front. Slides in. We'll most likely have a little line of thunderstorms. I don't anticipate these to be too strong or severe, so that's good news. This rotates through. Cooler air works in, so now we're at Sunday morning. As we go through the daytime hours on Sunday, clouds thicken again. Here's the third wave. Showers, thunderstorms. Here's 6 p.m. on Sunday. The good news is the front's to our south, so we are going to have thunderstorms. They could be kind of strong, but I'm not thinking we're going to get anything severe, which is great news. Another batch rolls in. This is Sunday night, and then by Monday morning, we could end with a little bit of light snow across the region. All right, rainfall. We need the rain, spring. I think most of us are going to pick up a pretty good amount. I would say 1, maybe 2 inches in spots, which is something we could use. 71 tomorrow, 59 on Sunday, only 41 on Monday, and then a chance for rain over to snow again by next Thursday.
Yeah. Oh, well. It's nice to get the reminder that we really do need the precipitation.
We do. We definitely do.
All right. Thanks, Doug. Coming up, positive signs from the February jobs report. First, though, we honor a local veteran. T.W. Stone served in the U.S. Navy from 1943 to 46 and in the Army from 50 to 52. The Edna, Kansas native was stationed in the Pacific, Japan, and Korea. And we salute Sergeant First Class T.W. Stone, a four-state hero. Topping today's Consumer Watch, COVID cases continue to drop, and that's helping the job market improve. Reporter Michael George has the latest numbers.
It's hard to find anyone looking for work in Elkhart, Indiana. The area has the lowest unemployment in the country at just under 1%. And local businesses have plenty of jobs available.
We need servers, bartenders, cooks.
And strong hiring continues nationwide. In February, the economy added a better than expected 678,000 jobs, and the unemployment rate dropped to 3.8%. It's a huge change from 2 years ago, when the coronavirus led to shutdowns and massive job losses. Unemployment is now almost back to pre-pandemic levels. President Biden touted the new numbers.
Job gains in February were broad-based across sectors, from construction to retail to manufacturing to leisure and hospitality.
But the positive report comes as challenges here and abroad create uncertainty in the economy. The war in Ukraine has sent gas prices skyrocketing. That, coupled with overall inflation, could cause U.S. consumers to tighten the purse strings.
When we have higher prices as consumers or businesses, we may not spend as freely in the economy. And if we don't spend freely, then we are not going to be creating the demand necessary to bring more jobs online.
The Federal Reserve plans to raise interest rates later this month in an attempt to bring down inflation and keep the job market rolling. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Gas prices haven't been this high in nearly 10 years. The national average price for a regular gallon of gas climbed to $3.84 today. AAA says it's the highest since September of 2012 and rising at a pace that we haven't seen since Hurricane Katrina back in 2005. Prices are expected to continue to soar as Russia continues its invasion of Ukraine. Google has suspended all advertising in Russia. The company released a statement about the move, saying it was in light of the extraordinary circumstances taking place right now. The decision covers all of Google's ad services in Russia, including Google Display Advertising, YouTube, and Search. Lower cost insulin may be headed to the U.S. thanks to one nonprofit drug maker, Civica. Civica RX says it plans to make and sell insulin for $30 a vial or less. That price is about 10 times cheaper than some brand name products. President Biden called for a price cap on insulin in his State of the Union address. If approved, Civica could start selling insulin products as early as 2024. A final check of the forecast next. Up next in the CBS Evening News, Steve Hartman has the story of a grandfather's wish to hug his family, made possible by the kindness of his students. Then on KOAM News at 6, an Allen County, Kansas woman is charged in the death of a 1-month-old boy. Plus, we're going to have more on the Quapaw Nation asserting its jurisdiction over crimes on tribal land, and how an area high school is showing support for a student from Ukraine. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Yeah, the temperature is still nice, but we're seeing a bit of a change in the weather.
We are. We have the clouds outside for us right now, and eventually those will lead to some scattered showers, a few scattered thunderstorms tomorrow. I really think Saturday, majority of the day, is going to be dry. Some scattered thunderstorms tomorrow night, and then more on Sunday. Sunday's going to be the worst of the 2 days. Could actually pick up some pretty good amounts of rain over the weekend.
And as you said, we could use some
rain.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.